Welcome to Healing Her Feminine, the podcast for high-functioning women ready to stop performing wellness and start embodying it. I'm your host, Lindsay Alexis, a somatic and functional practitioner. Here, you're going to find grounded insights, soul-led healing, and practical tools to support your hormones, your nervous system, and returning to your feminine rhythm. So, let's start. Today, ladies, I wanted to talk about the 5 reasons why healthy habits or healthy rituals fail. We have all been there. I hear so many people that are like, I tried that and it didn't work. I tried that and it didn't work. And it's like, this is probably why it didn't work. With that, I'm also going to teach you guys how to actually make them stick, because doing new things is hard. Let's not sugarcoat it. We don't necessarily like doing new things all the time, no matter if it's good or not. So, have you ever started a morning routine? We're going to start here. Have you ever started a morning routine with the best intentions only to drop it after a week or two? Because most women do. Our mornings set the stage for the rest of the day. So if we don't get this right, we don't get anything right. I will go ahead and drop this up front. I have the 7-day morning rituals blueprint. It is a free guide for you guys to help you start building those healthy habits, get in the routine of starting your morning out a certain way, and just putting your best foot forward for the rest of the day. So with that being said, sometimes you start really strong, but the results don't show up as fast as you'd like. Sometimes your body doesn't respond the way that you expected it to. And it's not because the ritual itself wasn't right or the routine wasn't right. It's just that that specific thing doesn't affect your body the way it might affect somebody else's body. Sometimes we have physiological blocks like poor sleep or a nutritional absorption issue or stress overload where we have way too much cortisol in our systems. And it can feel like these things make it impossible for new rituals and habits to actually stick. And then sometimes you just need a reward to build up that habit so that you keep showing up, right? So I just want you guys to know this isn't a failure. This is just feedback, right? Everything that we do, I'm going to sidestep here for a second, but everything that we do in life, and this is something that I most recently have been learning, is feedback. Everything is feedback, and we tend to take things internally. We tend to think that if it didn't work, something is wrong with us. And it's not. It's feedback. It is information that is neutral. It's not positive or negative. It's just like, okay, I tried this. This is the result of what happened. So now I need to adjust according to the result that I want, right? We either know that this works or this doesn't work, and that's it. And you can even apply this to people and relationships. Okay, I'm not going to get into the whole relationship side of things today. I'm sure there'll be another episode on that at some point. But even in relationships, how you respond and communicate and act instead of react is critical in understanding that other person, but also yourself, right? What are things that you're going to tolerate? What are things that you're not going to tolerate? What are they doing that is of their own doing, not yours? And setting that knowledge or that understanding that it's not necessarily you that's the problem, like why something isn't working out. And I feel like I'm going in circles on this and not being like really direct about it. But if you do something and that person doesn't, let's say, meet your expectations, right? That's not on you. Like you're not asking for too much, if that makes sense. They are just at that point in their life where maybe they just don't want to, right? Or maybe they can't. Maybe they don't have the right capacity. You have to understand, you have to learn to meet people where people are. And that's a data point. That's not on you. That's not necessarily your problem. Okay. Anyways, not going into relationships today. We are doing physiological things today. So the common reasons why things fail. And like I said, I'm going to navigate this mostly towards like morning rituals because that does set your day up for success. But you can apply this to any healthy habit that you do. It could be exercising every day. It could be exercising once a week. It can be eating more greens. It could be getting more protein in your diet. It could be taking your supplements every day. Anything, right? Anything in your life, you can apply these concepts to it for the sake of this podcast, for the sake of what I'm trying to help you with at the beginning stages of this podcast is your mornings, because like I said, your mornings, they build your entire day. So again, apply it as you see fit, but we're going to focus on morning rituals today. So reason number 1 is you're doing too much. You're doing too much and too fast. So you're trying to do all of the things. You're on day 1, you're like, okay, next week I am going to do all the healthy habits. And what do? I'm going to wake up early, that I don't normally do. I'm going to meditate, that I don't normally do. I'm going to do my affirmations and my gratitudes that I don't normally do. I am going to go work out. I'm going to go strength train and do some cardio that I don't normally do. I'm going to spend an hour in the gym that I don't normally do. And then I'm going to come home and I'm going to drink a protein smoothie with greens in it that I don't normally do. And then I'm going to, dress like my future self and in really nice clothes or whatever your next up level looks or feels like. I'm going to go dress in these new clothes. I'm going to put on the jewelry and I'm going to put on the makeup. And then I'm going to blah, 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 like fill in the blank, right? So right there we have like a solid 5 to 7 things that we already told ourselves that we're going to do come Monday. Can we all just be real that the fact that Mondays are hard because they're just Mondays? Like, I don't know if it's because societally it's like we're all getting back in gear from the weekend. If your schedule is where you're working on weekends and Monday isn't actually a Monday, but like your Monday's actually like a Thursday, then same difference. Like that day 1 back in the saddle from taking a break is always the hardest to get the momentum going, right? So with that being said too, starting your day out with a good solid morning ritual on a Monday. Okay, let's say you've already been doing this for a while. Setting that foundation on a Monday morning is so crucial because it just already naturally has a lot of strain and like heaviness to it being Monday. So that's where that helps out. But here's what I want to tell you is obviously don't do that because that's how you fail. It's like trying to run a marathon that you never have done before and you didn't train for it. Guys, let me tell you this funny story. I did that one time. Okay, listen. It was it was a what do they call it? It's like a bounce house marathon, okay? So it wasn't even like a legit, I mean, I guess it's still a legit marathon, but it was a 5K bounce house marathon. It was on my birthday, I think when I was turning 30, I think. Okay, let me just tell you. Back when I was 30, I had a lot of stuff going on. I was in school full time. I was working full time. I was a single mom full time. I wasn't yet. Just kidding. I wasn't a single mom at that time. So there was like a lot. There was a lot going on back then, and I didn't train at all. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna like, it's a bounce house. It's a bounce house marathon. Like, it can't be as rigorous as a regular, 5K marathon. And I had my best friend from growing up. And now that I think about it, I might have to take that back. I don't think I was 30. I think I was younger than that. I don't know, but it was on my birthday. And so I invited her to come do this 5K with me, and then like stuff ended up happening with that. But and I ended up having to like do it solo. Y'all, bounce houses are no joke if you're if you're doing it as a 5K race. Like, I'm gonna be real with you. Like, you think it's gonna be fun and games because bounce houses are fun, and no, in Charleston, humidity in May, at the middle of May, is no. Mm-mm. Don't do it. You have to train for that. So, anyways, too much, too fast, trying to run a marathon. You didn't train for it, you didn't build up for it. It was fun. It was hot. It was sweaty. It was not pretty at all. Not pretty at all. Anyhow, so don't do that. Train, train. And so the 7 day morning rituals blueprint that I have, it walks you through every day building up a habit on top of the other one. And it also recommends to you that do number one on day one, right? But if on day two you feel like you need more time to get in the routine of what number one is, and I tell you, number one is super easy. It's just drink electrolyte water in the morning when you wake up. That's the first thing. But, anyways, if you felt, let's say, that you needed more time to instill that as a daily ritual, then the guide allows you to do that, right? So you don't have to do all of the things in the 7 days. So by the seventh day, you don't have to have all seven of those steps down 100%, right? The idea is, I'm going to do step one until I'm comfortable with doing step one. Then I'm going to do step two until I'm comfortable with doing step two. Then I'll add on step three. So then by the time you get to whatever day that is, it could be 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks out, you have built this very strong foundation of what a morning ritual looks and feels like for you. So you don't have to take everything that's in my book, right? You can take bits and pieces of it. But that's the morning ritual that I personally use, that I know a lot of women also personally use, that has put them on a trajectory of health and well-being, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Okay, so go get the guide if you haven't yet. But we're not going to do that. We're not going to do too much too fast, right? The next thing that I hear a lot of women say or complain about is, I did this for X amount of time, typically a week, and I didn't feel any different. I didn't see any difference. So it didn't work, right? I think that we tend to have unrealistic expectations around a lot of things in life. We have unrealistic expectations of ourselves. We have unrealistic expectations of our partners. We have unrealistic expectations of how our body functions. We have unrealistic expectations about how we're going to age, about our careers, all of these things, right? The amount of stuff that we can do in a day and take on, without being overwhelmed. Like, seriously, we have an issue with unrealistic expectations. And I think we haven't, this just popped in my head, but I think we have an issue with unrealistic expectations because we don't understand the concept of rest and relaxation, of surrendering and letting go. I feel like those two things are constantly at battle with each other. I feel like we don't know how to balance what it is we're capable of doing, what's okay, right? And at the same time, getting enough rest and surrendering the outcomes at the same time. I feel like there's not an equilibrium 9 times out of 10 with that. And I think that's a societal thing. I think that we just constantly try to go, 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 do. And it overcompensates, right? We do too much. Going back to the first point, we do too much. And we don't take the time out to say, you know what, it doesn't have to be like this, or hey, I'm actually the problem, or I need to walk away from this and ground myself. I need to take the rest. I need to, something fill in the blank that rehabilitates you from having these expectations of what should be, what needs to be, what has to be, whatever you want to say, right? So this most commonly shows up, actually, it shows up with, most results, I guess. I was going to say supplements, but it actually shows up with nutrition intake. It also shows up with exercise, the amount of exercise we put in. It shows up a lot, actually. So going to the supplement part, which is where I was heading originally, I need you guys to understand, as my audience, as my women listening, that your cells in your body take varying amounts of time to regenerate. All your cells in your body regenerate, okay? For example, your skin cells regenerate quick, right? The ones on the outer layer of your skin, they regenerate very, very quickly because your body needs to be covered and protected at all times from your skin. So they regenerate. That's why if you scratch yourself, you get a scab within a few minutes and we're done. It heals within a couple of days underneath that scab, then the scab falls off because your skin cells are constantly regenerating. They regenerate very quickly. Things like the lining of your stomach, that's another thing that's going to regenerate cellularly fairly quickly. You have acid in there, it's going to burn it off. It needs to be rebuilt very quickly. If the cells in your stomach didn't regenerate as often as it should, you would have acid leaking in your body, which would be detrimental, right? But then you have different cells, like, don't quote me on this, but like your brain cells or even your heart cells, different organs that don't need to regenerate every 24 hours or 48 hours. These cells tend to take longer to regenerate, even like muscular cells, right? They take a longer amount of time to regenerate. So most, I don't know the actual percentage off the top of my head, but most of your body's cells, most of them will regenerate within a 3 to 6 month time frame. All of your body's cells have regenerated between a 6 to 9 month period. So I tell everybody I know, all my clients, listen, if you're going to start something nutritionally, specifically, that includes supplements, stick with it for at least 3 months, ideally 6 months, and at best 9 months, because you're going to have to flush out over time all of those quote unquote bad cells that don't have the new nutrition in it, because the new nutrition in each one of those cells is what's going to help that cell function at a better, I'm going to say rate, but rate's the wrong word, but they're going to help them function better. Okay. So as you continue to filter them out, right, they die off, new ones grow. The ones that are growing new have the new nutrients in them. The old ones that died, they didn't. And so we keep doing this and we keep doing this until all of the cells of that organ have completely regenerated, in which all of those cells now have that added nutrition, that added supplement that you have consistently been taking for, again, at least 3 months, ideally 6, at best 9 months. Okay. So that's the actual expectation of supplements and nutrition. Anything less than that, of course it didn't work. If you come to me and you're like, hey, Lindsay, I started taking magnesium, let's say, and actually magnesium works a lot quicker, but let's say I started taking magnesium and it's been a week and a half and I am not sleeping any better, or I don't feel any better, or I still have water retention, even though that doesn't have anything to do with magnesium. But point is, I'm going to tell you, okay, keep taking it. Like, you're not going to see the results you want for 3 months. Now, yes, there are situations where you're going to see it sooner than that. I can tell you right now, if you listen to the previous podcast episode, that I started the NAC, right? And that's for liver support and function. And within 2 days, I started to see results from that. Within a week, I really saw results from that. I actually ended up losing like 1 to 2 pounds off of that, just water weight, from a week's worth of consistently taking that. Again, also, it depends on your body, which brings me to the third point, where a lot of times what works for my body won't necessarily work for your body, won't necessarily work for Angela's body, won't work for Jessica's body. Okay. So this is where nutrition and functional medicine specifically come into play. It is a huge component in understanding who you are physiologically, who you are emotionally, what your background has been up until this point, what kind of lifestyle environment you have, what are the external impacting factors. All of these things really matter when it comes to supplementation and nutrition and healing your body according to what your body needs. Okay. Again, going back to my coaching, this is huge. I don't have a cookie cutter protocol that I send out to every one of my clients, which is why I don't take on a lot of clients. I literally sit with you specifically. We walk through all of the things that have brought you to this very moment in time, and we break everything down and look at what your needs are specifically for your body, okay? Not somebody else's body. So why things fail is because a lot of the information that is out there in the world pertains to a quote unquote general population. But last time I checked, I am an individual. I am not Sarah down the street or Julie at the corner store, right? They all have their own lifestyles. They all have their own environments. They all have their own mindsets around things. They have their own rituals around things. So it always frustrates me when I see all of these things on social media that are like, if you want to, you know, fill in the blank, take fill in the blank supplement, or if you are experiencing this symptom, then you should take this medication or this supplement. Like, I really, honestly, it's a pet peeve of mine that people say that and people buy into that. And it's a whole, like, really grinds my gears. I'll put it that way. Which is why, like, me producing content like my supplement guide, my supplement fix guide, I really walk you through, okay, yes, this can help with this, but also take into consideration all of these other aspects before you start the supplement, right? So that kind of thing for me, like, I've really tried to fine tune it as best I can without knowing every person's account who is going to download that specific guide, right? So anyways, I digress on that. Just know that the reason why some things fail is because it wasn't meant for your body. They're blanket statements. I will side note on this too. With supplements, the daily dosage of that supplement is typically known to be a healthy white male between the ages of 30 and 40 who eats correctly and exercises daily and has like moderate stress levels. Okay, so if you're listening to this podcast, I can almost guarantee you don't check all those boxes, right? Which means that daily dose recommendation, the RDAs that you see on supplemental brands probably don't pertain to you, okay? Especially women, because men are on a 24-hour hormonal cycle. Women are on a 28 to 32 day cycle. So the fact that something works for a male, and again, we're talking a white male too, ethnicity plays a role in how your body absorbs nutrients as well. And that's another thing that a lot of people don't talk about, which again grinds my gears. But anyways, so point being, we need to take the mass of information that is out there in the world around nutrition and supplements and our bodies and getting them healthy and healing. We need to take it honestly with a grain of salt, because unless you are actually in contact one-on-one with a functional practitioner or your doctor who has a background in holistic health, in nutrition, because I will tell you now, doctors have a semester out of the 8 years of college on nutrition. A semester, just FYI. And nutrition is probably 80%, I would even try to push it to 90% of health, of making you healthier. Because what goes into your body determines the function of your cells within your body. So if you are feeding your body junk, garbage in, garbage out. Just keep that in mind. Okay, I will get off of my soapbox now with supplements, because again, I need to just do an entire podcast on supplements, which I probably will. Mismatching with your body, that's number 3. So we have too much too fast as number 1. We have unrealistic expectations as number 2. And then we have mismatching with your body as number 3, which brings me to number 4, which I kind of touched on in my soapbox moment there. Number 4 is physiological barriers. So are you getting enough sleep? Are you highly stressed out? Your cortisol level is really high right now. We talked about that in the previous episode, right? If your nervous system is jacked up, if your cortisol levels are really high, if your body doesn't feel safe, what does that look like as far as what you're trying to do failing? Nutrient deficiencies, right? There are certain things in your body that will block, especially if you're on medications, most medications will block different receptors that nutritionally are uptakes to help the functionality of your cells. That's a bunch of science jargon, but basically, assume you have, here, we'll do it this way. There's an outlet in the wall. You put a plug into the outlet in the wall, okay? That gets your light turned on. You take another plug and you try to plug it in the same outlet. You can't because it's already taken. That other thing that you're trying to plug in would be your nutrient that would normally sit in that outlet, okay? But because you have taken a medication, blocks it. Now, depends on the medication, depends on the strength of the medication, depends on the longevity of the medication in your body, but this can happen. So nutrient deficiencies happen. They don't go to the right places that they're supposed to go, and then you excrete them out through the excretion process, which sounds really weird saying that out loud, but you pee or you poop them out, basically. So being aware of the medications you're on, being aware of if there are genetic nutrition deficiencies in your body as well, because the way your genes work, your DNA sequencing can be turned on or turned off. This is what we see with chronic illnesses all the time. There are things that are turned on that are supposed to be turned off. There are things turned off that are supposed to be turned on. Again, going back to our lovely little hormones that we talked about in the last episode. This is what triggers that, because your hormones have communicated to your DNA, to the cell, and then to the DNA that it needed to be turned on or turned off, which is opposite of what it normally is. Okay, so that can cause nutrient deficiencies as well. So I'm not going to go into this too much because we talked about it a lot in the last episode. So if you want to catch up on that one, pop back over and listen to that. But that's physiological barriers at number 4, which means number 5 is not scientific at all. Actually, it might be. It's actually probably psychological, which makes it scientific, but a lack of a reward system. I know we're not kids listening to this podcast right now, but I will tell you that a reward system really does work. And up until, I don't know, let's say 6 months to a year ago, I was like, this is hubbub, this is baloney. Reward systems are like a psychological thing that I don't need, I don't know. I don't know why I felt this way about reward system. I guess because, okay, let's go into it on the spot. I think I may have this preconceived notion about reward systems because I grew up with not having a reward system. I was not rewarded for lots of things. Let's just say that. Achievements and accomplishments that took a lot out of me to do. There was no congratulations, great job, let's go do this for you, here's, I don't know, some flowers for you, here's a present. There was nothing like that growing up. Okay, so I think that that's where this comes from, because I have always been in the mentality that you just do it. Just do it. You don't need to be rewarded for what you're doing. You just do it because you have to do it, or because you want to do it, and then you do it, and then it's done, and then you go on to the next thing, and the cycle repeats, and then you'll wonder why you're at the age of 35 and you kind of feel like you don't celebrate your life that much. Yes, I'm talking to me. But yeah, I mean, lots of things that we carry into our adulthood come from our childhood. Lots of habits and routines and things that aren't necessarily good come into that. So I want to transition that into saying that I am proud of myself today, because today is the first day that since the car accident, okay, so if y'all listened to the previous episode, you know about the car accident situation. Today is the first day after that accident that I have actually had the stamina and the motivation to do all of the things that I'm teaching you guys here. So my life goes in waves, like massive waves. Like I'm not talking like little waves. I'm talking like swells and like huge depressions. Like we're talking massive. My life has always been like that. And I appreciate it, grateful for it, but I also hate it because the highs are really high and the lows are really low. And so this car accident thing was like a really low point for me. It took a lot mentally and emotionally out of me. Um, and the only thing I had control of was physically. Like I could go work out. And like, so I held on to that because that was the only thing. That was the only thing. Going back up to what I was saying though, so today is the first day that I have my entire day planned out, which is something I haven't done in forever and a year. And I have actually, for the most part, been following that plan, that schedule, that routine. But I came to realize what it is that I needed in order to make this happen. And the fact that I am sitting here in front of you guys at 1:30 and I still have the energy that I had at 7 a.m. and I woke up at 5 a.m., I'm like, I don't know. Like I am like in this space right now where I'm like, what is happening? Like, how did I do this? So again, another episode for another podcast. I need to write these down as I'm saying these, but reward system. I went on a 3-mile walk today. I had planned to run some of it, but the podcast that I was listening to while I was doing it wasn't really conducive to me running. By the end of it, it started to get really humid out, and so I just like wasn't for it. So I walked 3 miles. So previously I've been walking 2.5 miles, which has been great, you know, it is what it is. But I was like, you know what? Let's bump it. Let's do 3 miles. So my routine leading up to that was getting the kids to school, having breakfast before that. I did not have any coffee from the time I woke up to the time, actually, okay, I took like 2 sips of my coffee before I walked out the door with the kids to walk them to the bus stop at 7:30ish. Okay. So I woke up at 5. I did my morning routine, which is in the 7-day morning ritual blueprint, right? I did that and packed their lunches, made breakfast for everybody, and then I made the coffee and I put it on the table, and then I went and I got my supplements. I took my supplements, and then we were like out the door. I had dressed for this walk prior to that, and we're waiting at the bus stop, and the bus comes and leaves, and then I turn on the podcast and I turn on my watch to track, you know, my 3 miles. In my head I was like, shoot, I didn't have much of any coffee this morning. I was like, where in the heck am I going to get this energy from? So I just started walking and, you know, speed walking, like not casual walking. And it was about the 2-mile mark. My body was like, ooh, that coffee with the cookie dough creamer in it sounds really amazing right now. And I was like, it really does. So that was the motivation that carried me. Excuse me. That was the motivation that carried me the final half a mile of my journey. And you better believe as soon as I got home, I was like, this is my reward. Listen, I have Chobani. I don't know if y'all have had the Chobani creamers, but my friend got me literally addicted to the Chobani creamers. They have 5 grams of carbs per tablespoon in them, which is amazing. They're not high in sugar. And I've been hooked, obsessed ever since, especially when I found out about the cookie dough one. And it is pumpkin spice season, and I can take a good pumpkin spice here and there, but I don't know, just something about rotating that cookie dough out, like, I don't know. So I got home and I was like guzzling this thing. I probably should not have guzzled it, but that was my reward. My point coming back is have something at the end of doing what it is that you need to do that really gives you joy, happiness, pleasure, excitement, whatever, that emotion is that you want to feel. And then be disciplined enough to be like, I cannot have this thing until or unless this is finished, with the understanding that you're not going to overwhelm or overburden yourself with whatever the thing is. So like, obviously I'm not going to be like, I can't have my coffee and creamer until I do 4 miles. If I know personally that like 4 miles is going to be a stretch for me, right? So don't do that. Like within reason, whatever your goal is, if I'm consistent, let's say drinking electrolytes in the morning first thing, and I say, okay, I'm going to consistently do this for 3 days. 1, 2, 3, done. Then I'm going to go, perfect. Now I get to have whatever. I don't recommend having the reward be food related if weight loss is your goal. But it can be food related if it's something strategic or systematic, if that makes any sense. So let's say it's reading the Bible at night. Let's say you say, okay, I'm going to read a page of the Bible for the next 3 nights, right? Or you get a plan on the Bible app and you're like, okay, I'm going to follow through this plan for 2 days straight. And then after the second day, I'm going to go get like a Hershey almond bar or something, like something that you don't really have a lot, but you do enjoy. Or maybe it's a coffee, right? Maybe it is a coffee at a local coffee shop that you absolutely, adore. You're like, okay, that's going to be my reward. Or maybe it's going somewhere, right? Maybe it's like, okay, if I do this routine for an entire week or for an entire 2 weeks, then I'm going to go buy a purse or something. I don't know. You fill in the blanks, you do you. But my point is that I was never a fan of the reward system aspect, but now I see that is also just as important as your physical, emotional, and spiritual health, because it is a mental health related thing. Okay. So those are the 5 reasons why rituals fail, and some context behind each of them. What I do want to end with is how to help you guys maintain that consistency. Some of it I've already said. One of those being in the 7-day morning rituals blueprint, it builds each step in small doses. So the first thing you want is to start small and build upon it. So pick one thing, practice it for a few minutes if it's a time related thing, or just a couple of days, and then add on top of that. All right. So if it's eating a protein rich breakfast, you eat it day 1, day 2, day 3. Perfect. Reward yourself. Right. Next, let's add in writing a gratitude before breakfast. Okay, cool. I'm going to wake up, write a gratitude day 1, eat it, eat my protein breakfast because I've already built that habit, right? Now I'm writing a gratitude before I go eat or while you eat. That's another option. And then you do that day 1, day 2, day 3. So now you're actually at day 6 and you have 2 habits already built, right? Just adjust it according to you, adjust it according to what your needs are. The second thing for consistency is make it personal. Ask in the morning, what does my body actually need this morning? Sometimes it's stillness, sometimes it's calm, sometimes it's stretch, sometimes it's a different type of movement, sometimes it's nourishment, right? Like I said, the electrolyte water. So making it personal helps with keeping it consistent, because you are actually tuning into yourself and you're like, okay, this is something that I personally need, that my body personally needs, that I need mentally or emotionally, right? This is something that makes me feel safe, right? Which brings me on to the next point about creating safety first, right? Safety in your body. That's going to open up a lot, because, like I said earlier, we are in such a go, go, go society and culture that our bodies are just like, they're wired. We talk about being wired and tired. Our bodies are so wired. So allowing yourself in the morning to take a breath, to feel safe, that's going to set you up mentally, emotionally, physically, like we talked about, nutritionally, so that you have that strong foundation to get through the rest of your day, so that you don't have anxiety in your day, so that you don't have that drop in the afternoon of energy. It really sets up your day. Sorry, guys, take a sip. All right, then, like we talked about, build in the rewards. You can do small rewards too. For example, you can do like a candle lit, right? A cozy blanket. You could drink your favorite tea, and you could do those things while you're practicing whatever that new habit or ritual is, because you're grounding yourself with something that makes you feel comfortable, makes you feel safe. It's like right now I have a candle burning that energizes me throughout the day. This morning I had a different candle. Guys, I'm like candle obsessed right now, because I have found out that there are such candles that are natural, good for you. They're not like high in fragrances and like all this other mess. They're coconut and beeswax, so they last longer, and they're made with essential oils, and it's a jam session. I am here for a good candle. Anyways, so I have a candle that I light in the morning that helps with, waking up, being grounded, doing my gratitudes and affirmations with. Then I have one that's for the day. It's more of like a citrusy kind of smell, gets things going, gets me motivated. And then at night, when I do my evening routines and I calm down after dinner and wind down, all that kind of stuff, I have more calming tones that are kind of more earthy. So in the morning, it's more of a soft kind of florally kind of smell. This one really doesn't say what's in it for that. But then, like I said, the afternoon one is like an orange scented one, more citrus, more energizing. I even do this with my essential oils too. And then in the evening, because it's fall now, I have a white pumpkin. And then I'm going to start rotating that out once, let's say September, October, probably more October comes. I'm going to start switching that out with this other one that I have, that's cider, apple cider flavored. Give me some pumpkin in fall and apple cider. Love it. Anyways, so I rotate these candles out, and they're intentional, right? And I do these things so that I know, like, this is combined with this action. This smell and this feeling is combined with this action. So you can do that too. And like I said, you could do that with a blanket. You could do that with how you're dressed. You could do that, with a tea, with a drink, with a water, with a coffee, whatever the case is. Weekly, so that would be daily. Weekly rewards, you could do, like I said, you could fun outing. You can go purchase something if you want. You could do a small treat somewhere. The fact that you showed up for the past 5 days. And that's another thing that I haven't really mentioned in this yet is showing up for yourself. All of this at the end of the day, all of this today and in the previous episodes and the episodes to come, all of this is for you to allow yourself to show up for you, okay? Because showing up for you shows that you care about you and you care about your success and you care about your health and you care about your spirituality. And showing up is the greatest gift that you can give yourself, because at the end of the day, you're only going to have yourself to show up for, right? Other people might show up for you here and there. You can show up for other people here and there. But literally every waking moment of every day, that's you. That's you showing up for you. That's you doing you. That's you focusing on you and your growth and your expansion and being a better human being and getting closer to God and all of these things. That's you. You were here for a purpose. You were here for a reason. You're the one who's going to have to tap into what it is that is you, your identity, your purpose, right? That's what we're all here for. So at the end of the day, this whole thing, the most feminine healing thing you can do for yourself time and time again is show up for you, right? However that looks. So again, going back, you've done this for 5 days. You showed up for yourself for 5 days. Go do a small treat. Go get you a new lipstick. Go get you a new candle. I don't know. Whatever it is, do it for you. And also, backing up a little bit, don't let anybody tell you that any of this stuff is dumb. Don't let anybody tell you that what you're doing doesn't make sense. Don't let anybody dim your light in any way, shape, or form because they don't understand it or they wish that they could do it and they can't. Whatever is theirs, whatever their commentary is about you doing new habits, about you doing new rituals, about you showing up for you and they don't like it, whatever that is, you leave that at the door. Leave it at the door, leave it in their space. Don't you bring that into your space at all, because you deserve way more than that, right? Just side note there. Okay, and then lastly, monthly, you do a bigger reward, like I said, like, you know, a new book or something, right? A vacation, whatever, I don't know. So that's monthly if you showed up for yourself monthly. Last but not least, I'm gonna try to wrap this up because we're already going on an hour. Last but not least, stacking. Stack it with existing habits. Like I said, how I stacked the different candle scents with a task, right? I know when I do this, this is what this means. So stacking, right? You can, if you get my download, if you get the blueprint, it tells you that you can go have your breakfast outside. You're getting vitamin D, you're grounding with nature, you're doing the things to help your nervous system calm down, and you're actually physically nourishing your body with the high protein breakfast, right? So you're doing two things at once, and it actually shortens the time. So you're not like, okay, I'm going to eat this for 20 minutes and then I'm going to go outside for another 20 minutes. And then your thing ends up being like 5 hours long. Combining tasks lets you shorten that to a 10, 15-minute routine, and we're in and we're out and we're done and we're on to the next thing, right? And we're feeling great. So there's that. I will also tell you that I do my affirmations from YouTube. I do my affirmations now as I'm making my bed in the morning. I will repeat them out loud. Like it says it and then I repeat it and whatever, and I'll make my bed while I do that. Or I'll brush my teeth while I do that. And I'm combining those two now. What I used to do was I used to make the bed and do the things to get ready, and then I would sit down and write out all of my affirmations and gratitudes, but you can speak just as well as you can write. Okay, so what else do we have here? I'm reading my notes right now. If results feel slow, just trust the process. Surrender, trust the process. Not everything is a hustle. Not everything is going to happen in the next 5 minutes, and that is okay. Give yourself permission to be patient. If your body's not responding, remember it is data. It is information. We can use it. We can reevaluate it. We could do something different. There's always other options. You just got to find out what works for you. If it is a physiological block, prioritize rest, relaxation, hydration, and protein. So rest, hydrate, protein. I was trying to think of a good acronym for that, but I can't think of one right now. Anyways, so your ritual works better when your body has a foundation. Then if you lose motivation, tie it to a reward. Like we said, daily, weekly, or monthly. Just create joy around whatever this new habit is. Know that it's not just a discipline. You might have to be disciplined in it with time, but just know that it's supposed to be joy. It's supposed to bring you joy, right? And then if you keep quitting, scale back. Just do one thing until you have it down. Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't try to do too much. Make it shorter, make it easier, things like that. Just let done be enough. We are not reaching for perfection. No perfectionism here. Recovering perfectionist. Hello, hi, that is me. We're not doing perfection anymore. Done is better than perfect. So if you've been starting and stopping rituals, habits, etc., you don't have to do it alone. We've all been there. We've all done it. Like I said, I have my free resource, 7-Day Morning Rituals Blueprint. It's in the description box. Simple, doable, compoundable. It walks you through how to do it, when to do it, why you're doing it. In total, within a week, 15 minutes of your morning. Okay? You can grab it, like I said, in the description box. Other than that, morning rituals aren't about perfection. They're about creating small daily anchors that remind your body that it's safe, supported, and ready to step into your day. So start simple, stay consistent, and celebrate every win along the way. Okay? All right. I'll see you guys here next time.